about the special status as far as Article 370 is concerned. What are your views on that? And can the Indian government or can it be repealed or changed? What are your specific views on that?
Well, Article 370, according to the Constitution itself, is and the Constituent Assembly debates, it was supposed to be meant as a temporary provision, and it was going to last. Was supposed to last a few years, but it's gone on and on and on. But surprisingly, the provision is so worded in the Constitution that you don't need a parliamentary vote to remove it. All you need is the President of India to issue a notification. And President of India issues the notification when the cabinet sends him a letter saying that please issue a notification, and we are enclosing a text of the notification. And then he has to just act on it. He cannot amend it or anything. His only job is to act, is to declare it. Now, therefore, Article 370 can go in 5 minutes. All that the government has to do, the cabinet has to do, is to send the president a letter with a draft copy of the notification, and he'll issue it, and the matter is over. It was actually earlier on, it was meant as a protection against changing the religious composition of Kashmir. But after the terrorists drove out the Kashmiri Pandits and changed the religious demography of Kashmir, that article has been defeated by the majority population of Kashmir, and hence it has no locus standi anymore, and therefore 370 can be removed by any government which wants to remove it.
Now I will come back to when your party was in power,
Yes.
Bharatiya Janata Party. Why did they not do this thing?
Well, the Bharatiya Janata Party, I can say, is my party in the sense that we are now allies. Janata Party and BJP are allies. Of course, all the BJP people mostly are Jansangis. I am been in Jansang, and they were also in Janata Party. So I know all of them. They are all. But during the tenure of Vajpayee, I had very bad relations with. And during those 6 years when Vajpayee was Prime Minister, I had no relations with them at all. So I really cannot defend that, but I can explain it. I think it was really the personality of Mr. Vajpayee, who was more interested in becoming more and more acceptable. He took the Hindus for granted. He thought, well, they have no other place to go, so let me expand and get other people in. That's dangerous politics, but that's what he did, and that's why 370 was never taken up.
The future of India. Who are the future leaders of India, in your opinion?
Well, I think the Indian political dynamics is such that it is difficult to predict future leaders. We have developed this phobia really from the West to know who the future leaders are. In fact, first of all, people used to ask this question, after Nehru who? After Nehru who? And people thought there's nobody. In fact, Lal Bahadur Shastri came and he became very, very popular, and we have never raised this question again about after Nehru. Then, secondly, we have had prime ministers which no one would have thought would become prime minister. Because of the exigencies of the parliamentary situation, they became. Who would have thought that Devagowda will become prime minister? Who would have thought that Indra Kumar Gujral would become prime minister? So therefore, it's difficult in Indian politics to predict it. But the good thing about Indian democracy is that we will always find a leader, and he will rise to the occasion. So I would say that there are a very large number of people who can become prime ministers, and we should allow the situation of the next parliament to decide this.
What is your impression about Dr. Manmohan Singh, who is the current Prime Minister of India?
Well, Manmohan Singh is not only the Prime Minister of India, but he is a very, very old friend of mine. In fact, he also, when I was a minister, he was the economic advisor of my government. So he's worked under me as a civil servant. I know him very, very well. When I was appointed IIT professor, the chairman of the selection committee was Manmohan Singh. So, I mean, they're a very close relationship. I've been to his house many times. He's given me breakfast and so on. I know the family. It's a very friendly relationship I have. Now, personally, I think of him as a very decent man, as a man who has a commitment to his cause and so on. But he has always been, and I've noticed this even 30, 40 years ago when I knew him, he hated controversy. He didn't want to fight with anybody. And in politics, unless you take a stand, which means essentially fighting with some people, you can't do it. The only time he took a stand was in the nuclear deal, when I think he got a lot of encouragement from a lot of people saying, no, it's time the communists were taught a lesson. But he has now proved to be, in that sense, not strong enough. Although in the recent years he has developed some political standing in Punjab. The Sardars regard him very highly, and the women in Punjab regard him so highly that they call him Santaji. They don't even call him Manmohan, Manmohan Singh or Dr. Manmohan Singh or anything. They call him Santaji. So I think in Punjab, my Congress party has done very well because Manmohan Singh is the Prime Minister. He's made the pagdi now a legitimate part of your dress instead of curiosity, which it was earlier. So I think that the absence, from the Congress point of view, he is the best that one can think of. I wish he would challenge Sonia Gandhi occasionally and tell her to mind her business. That strength maybe he'll get in another year or two, but I have a feeling that country is once again going to go into instability for a number of special reasons that country is facing.
You have been now in United States, you teach at Harvard University, and you have seen the politics in this country, the elections in this country.
Yes.
How do you differentiate the elections in US than the politics and the election in India?
In the United States, the election is fought on one issue, and it's always just one issue. It's a one-dimensional election. In India, it's a multi-dimensional election. People look at issues, they look at your caste, they look at your language, they look at your region, they look at your proximity, whether you are accessible, not accessible. So it's a very complex system of voting in our country. It's very difficult, therefore, to predict, and that's why all pollsters have always been wrong about Indian elections. You can say general trend, you can speak about, but it's only after the election you know really what has happened. So I think India is a very, very complex system of elections, whereas the American system is much simpler. It's issues, and those issues are deciders.
Do you think that in India we should elect the leader, like here you elect the president?
System.
So do you think that system will work better for Indian politics?
I don't think so. I think it's also a dangerous system. America has of course got lots of checks and balances, but still, all said and done, they have a tradition. In India, you can get a president and then he can become a dictator. Furthermore, India has got so many regional aspirations which we don't have here, and they get better articulated in parliament.
You're called Swamy.
Yeah.
So is Swamy a title or is your last? So please.
No, in South India, lots of Krishna Swamis and Rama Swamis, and Swami is a very common Tamil name particularly, but it's also there in Karnataka and Kerala and Andhra. Actually, in our system, we also had the same kind of system as many other parts of the country, where we had a family name. I have a family name, but I don't use it because my father decided the freedom movement that it identifies your caste. So my family name is Iyer.
Right.
And Iyer means a Shiva worshipping Brahmin, essentially, in simple terms. So therefore my father decided we will not use the word Iyer. The title Iyer. Why should we identify a caste, being a caste name? So therefore we have another system which is different from the rest of the country in Tamil Nadu, and we use your given name by the father and mother as the last name. So my given name is Swamy. My father didn't want Swaminathan or Srinivasan or some big usual Kumaramangalam. These are all big Tamil names. So he wanted a short name which is easy and common to all India. And that's why he chose the name Swamy. His own name given by his father was Subramanian. So Subramanian Swamy, that's how it comes.
It's a respectable name, and I think your actions, what you have been doing, is exactly what a Swami would do. So you're not a career politician, but your workings and your ethics are like that.
Well,
Now coming back to you as a person, uh, what are your future plans? Do you want to enter in the Indian political scene again, or you want to keep teaching at the Harvard University?
no, I'm 10 months of the year, I'm always doing politics. I'm in the newspapers, I'm traveling around, I'm speaking on issues. The only thing is, I'm not entered parliament because I have a deep suspicion about this electronic machine. I believe that this election, about 60 constituencies, there has been rigging, not, I wouldn't call it fraud, I would call it rigging of the elections by changing the software of the electronic machines. And this is under now study, and my friends and I, we are filing cases in the Supreme Court very soon on it. And there's a lot of support for it now in America also. The electronic machines don't suit you. The German Supreme Court has already ruled that it is unconstitutional. So the only thing that I'm not doing that is considered part of active politics is to be parliament member. I've already been member of parliament 5 times. But I feel that the best time to go to parliament is when you're going to be also part of a government. And I'm sure that by the time the next Lok Sabha elections come, I will contest.
You will. So we wish you all the best for your next election. But at the same time, you just raised a very important questions about rigging. Is it an allegation, or you have some certain things? What is the basis that you are alleging that maybe the current Lok Sabha elections in India were rigged?
I wouldn't say that every seat was rigged. I would say 60 to 75 seats were rigged. And my prima facie basis for saying so, I certainly would like the court to go into it and give notice to the government, ask them to produce material. My prima facie basis for saying so is that there are established political parties which in any election would get 1.5 votes without difficulty. I find that in some constituencies they are not getting even 30,000 votes. How is that possible? There are some polling booths, out of 1,500 polling booths, there are 500 polling booths where you get 0 vote, 1 vote, 2 vote. Now, how is it possible to get 0 vote? Because you have party workers sitting there in the before the returning officer and the polling officer, and they are checking every vote. So the party workers, a minimum 5 inside and another 20 outside. So 25 people multiplied by another 5 because of their family members. The 125 votes is guaranteed, you see. So therefore, I think that's where the problem arises.
I think, as you said, that Dr. Manmohan Singh is an upright man. He's a very honest person, and you know him personally. So why don't you go to him and tell him that you believe that this has happened, and ask him to really do some sort of investigation?
He cannot do. No, I've already, some things have happened. Perhaps in the bank, I've written him a letter on this. But there is now a senior IAS officer. There are 2 senior IAS officers. One, some Om Nath Saigal, and is retired, and another senior officer is called A.C. Sarma of Andhra Pradesh. He is also retired. He was expenditure secretary in the Ministry of Finance. And these both people have been working on it. In fact, Saigal took the extraordinary step because he was an ex-IIT student. He prepared a software which could be put into the electronic machine, and that would say, I press the button for you and the vote comes to me. He has proved it. So the Election Commission itself has now ordered a CBI inquiry into it. And I'm thinking the truth will come out, and I think that may cause a midterm poll in the country.
We wish you all the best, and I think today it was a lucky day for us, that interview for Sheja. But tomorrow when you become a minister, or even we wish you that you become the Prime Minister of India, because we need people like you. So at that time, I think I will again get back to you. And
there will be no change in my behavior, I can assure you that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.